Synchronic is not the film that I thought it would be. And to be honest, it's got a higher rating than I would have expected. It has 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb with a Metascore of 63. I would have said 5.5 at the most. When it's good, it's brilliant. Unfortunately, those moments are few and far between, and it feels like a film of two halves because it started off really well and it really felt true to the premise. And then it takes a weird direction, and there are some characters that are irrelevant, and the use of time is messy, and there's a lot about it that just doesn't work. So this was released in originally 2019, but 2021 in the UK, directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, written by Benson, and stars Anthony Mackie as Steve. And I have to say, absolutely fantastic. This is the first thing that I've seen Mackie in. Steve is a very likeable character, very troubled, but very likeable, brilliantly acted, great comedic timing. This is not a comedy, but there are some injections of humour in this just to kind of keep it a little bit lighter now and again, and I think the comedic timing there was perfect. So the premise was something that made me very interested, and this is as follows. Two New Orleans paramedics' lives are ripped apart after they encounter a series of horrific deaths linked to a designer drug with bizarre otherworldly effects. So this drug is called Synchronic. And normally I don't care for films about drugs. It's just not my kind of thing. But because it had these bizarre effects that caused horrific deaths, I thought that sounds brilliant. And the fact that it was supposedly told through the perspective of the paramedics made it sound great, because I love medical dramas and things. And that's how it started. We had paramedics turning up at scenes where there were dead bodies and people who were dying in bizarre ways and in ludicrous situations, caused, of course, by this drug. And that was thrilling. And I thought, if this is what the whole film's going to be about, and each one gets worse and worse, and it gets more and more bizarre, that's going to be amazing. It wasn't. So I'd say the first third was about that. And then the middle third was kind of mainly or mostly all about Steve and his relationship with Dennis, the other paramedic, played by Jamie Dornan. I have to say, Dennis as a character was very boring, very poorly written, not very well developed, not interesting to watch. I didn't care about the strains in their professional relationship. He was an underused character. He could have been a lot more, but he wasn't, and that's such a shame, because when they did work together, it was interesting to watch. But very quickly, it stops becoming about these paramedics. And Steve, as a character, although he is a paramedic, it stops becoming about him as a paramedic. And the fact that he is a paramedic is kind of just a side note that's kind of not utilised. He also has a potentially emotional backstory that I guess was... I'm not going to say what it is, but I guess this backstory was included. He has a medical condition, I guess. And I guess that was included to give him a reason why he would take Synchronic without worrying about the side effects, I suppose. But it just felt unnecessary, really, because they didn't really play it to its maximum benefit. It was just kind of mediocre and not very well developed. And when he did start to take this and we got to see the side effects of it, it was bonkers and a mess. It was really messy. Visually, it was quite appealing. There was some very nice editing. The lighting in this film isn't great. But there was some nice editing, but I didn't really care about the effects of the drug. It stopped being about these horrific deaths and these bizarre outcomes and just started to being about this potential time travel element, which again was massively underplayed and not very well done. So Synchronic has an amazing premise, and it really had the potential to be something quite spectacular, and it certainly started out that way. I thought the beginning really set it up for a really fantastic journey, and it just quite quickly went downhill, and that's really disappointing because I really thought it was going to be incredible. I like the first third. I like Anthony Mackie as Steve. Beyond that, I feel really let down.